The At Home Show.
Red alert! Red alert! This is the Groom Lake facility, and this message is for Josh and David. The multiverse has been breached. Variants of all kinds are entering our reality as we know it, scattering false information about what you should do in your garden. This must be stopped. I don't even know if I'm the real Michael. I might in fact be a variant. I don't know. Guys, you have to hurry. You have to hurry right now. Live from the Green Room Studios, from the spacious property of Bates Nursery and Garden Center, 3810 Whites Creek Pike, it's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates.
Oh, yes, it could be a variant. David's been accused of being variable at many times during our career.
I've been variable.
I don't actually remember making that, so.
Okay, could be.
So we don't know if you actually did or not.
Exactly.
You need to be pruned?
Might.
You might. All right, folks. Hey, it's Saturday morning. It means it's time for the At Home Show. I am Josh Cary.
And I'm David Bates.
That's Moose to the left of me.
Yeah, we got
Tyler to the right.
Tyler to the right. We got Austin and Cary across the way.
And the mosh pit.
Yeah. And we're here to talk about all things gardening, home improvement.
Variant.
But we usually begin the program by discussing the weather. And let me get the right thing up here. And today, of course, is the 17th of July. The month is moving through quickly. And today we're going to have seasonably mild conditions. A high of only 84 degrees today, but it's going to be an overcast kind of a day. Maybe some afternoon thunderstorms. So if you're having watering concerns or maybe things are getting a little bit dry, you're going to get some help, it looks like, over the next couple of days. Not just on today, but tomorrow as well. We could have maybe a total of a half inch of rain, but you never know how these storms go. You might get 2 inches, and down the street they might not get anything. So that's the way it goes. We do have maybe a slight chance on Monday as it warms a bit up to 86 degrees, 67 for the overnight low. And then as we move into the meat of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have a slight...
What kind of meat?
Bologna.
Bologna?
Yeah, bologna.
Okay.
Yep. We got 88 on Tuesday, up through 91 on Thursday. Partly cloudy conditions, and then as the obligatory forecast for this time of year is
hot.
Storms move back in as we move towards the end of the week. But all things considered, it's really a nice forecast for the time of year. We've got 76 degrees here, live from the Green Room at Bates Nursery and Garden Center.
Absolutely. All right, folks, you can reach out, 615-499-6690. You can comment on the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates Facebook page. We are monitoring that page if you're looking at us on in the garden with David Bates.
That's right.
Or the Bates Nursery feed. We will catch those, but if you want your question asked, probably would be a good idea to go ahead and just go back to the regular Facebook page to see, because we can't watch 4 different feeds that are coming through. We can try.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got, and plus we're also
on
stream
YouTube.
out there on YouTube, on Twitter,
tweet,
and then ultimately it'll wind up being on LinkedIn. So there's a whole lot of different ways you can get in touch with us. Of course, you can just do it live right here, whether it's Facebook or YouTube.
The bat phone.
Yes. Call the bat phone, 615-499-6690. You can either
Instagram as well.
You can either call and leave a message, or you can text a message right there. So we've got enough different ways to totally confuse everyone, likely. So pick one and go with it.
Is it going to be that kind of a variable day? Are you going to be one of those confusing moods and one of those confusing variants today?
I'm easily surprised, Josh. And yesterday I got surprised by our dear friend Carol Reese. I had no idea.
Why didn't you lock her in the green room for a night?
I did get her in there, and I showed her the facilities, and she indicated that she would be very much inclined to do a remote with us on Saturday.
I've heard that before.
Well, no, I think she will. I mean, she's officially retired, but she has her still has her connections with the the state and the University of Tennessee through the extension services. So we're going to look forward to having her on here in the near future, but really great to get to see her yesterday and get to catch up, talk a little horticulture, and she's...
Yeah, I bet you guys did a lot of horticultural talk.
We did, and Austin participated in
Looked
that
like
as
you were
well.
yakking it up out there on the garden center,
Yeah,
man.
well, we were. There was some of it that was pertinent. Towards something anyway. So anyway, great to see Carol yesterday. We look forward to having her on in the not too distant future. And we've also got a lot going on today. You see, we've got, and thanks to all parties concerned for the lovely decorations that have been put forth this morning. We do.
That would be Caroline.
That would be Caroline
And Austin.
And Austin.
And
Austin.
One of the things I really like about what we've got today is a great show of color, and not necessarily in flowers. I love to see beautiful, colorful foliage. That's one of the things that really is such a reliable thing in the garden. Have enough golden and other tones of colors coming out of foliage to really accent what you're going to plant out there. So we'll talk about that and whatever's on your mind here at the At Home Show. Cary, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And I understand that you have some questions out there on Instagram.
We do have a few. The first one we got is my tomatoes have started developing small, soft black spots as they are ripening. Any advice on what this could be and how to prevent it?
Austin, take it away.
All right.
We know what that is.
I'm assuming it's at the bottom of the fruit, which is called blossom end rot, and it's categorized by just a sunken kind of black spot at the bottom of the fruit, and it's a calcium deficiency. So it's not enough calcium down in your soil. It's not going to let that fruit ripen up. It still will ripen up. You can simply cut that off after it ripens and still eat the top part of the fruit, but the bottom part's going to be bad. So we sell calcium supplements out here that you can put in. Also, Tomato Tone is a fertilizer that we sell readily out here for tomatoes, and it's got a lot of added calcium in it. So there's also foliar sprays you can spray on the leaves that will give some calcium back into that plant, and that will help with that. So your pH is off is really the main thing of the soil. So maybe next season let's get a soil sample sent out to the Ellington Ag Center. That's a service that they provide that's really nice. I know if y'all don't know about it, you can get a soil sample from your garden and send it in. They'll tell you exactly the numbers you need in the next year's fertilizer program to get your soil back where it needs to be, get the pH where it needs to be, and that'll really help with that the black spot at the bottom of the fruit. So
unabashed plug here for Earth Mix products. I don't hear about people having this problem necessarily with Earth Mix. And I mean, there's a lot of these above ground gardening.
One of the things that really helps the Earth Mix products get around the calcium deficiency issue is the use of poultry litter, which, if you know anything about chickens and eggs, is that
which came first?
Well, we're still working on the answer to that question. However, when you have that much calcium that's inherently available to it, all you got to do is make sure you have the pH in the right range, and it is then available to the plant. And you need to be somewhere just south of 7. 6, 8 is a really good target spot to be, but probably anywhere between 6.5 and 7 is all a good region to be in to make that calcium available. And to further define, in case you don't know which end is the blossom end of the fruit, that's the bottom. It's not where the stem is attached, it's the other end of the fruit. So it'll be the underside or the lower portion of the tomato that you will see that trait exhibited in. So also there are products that are readily available calcium sources, such as soluble calcium, that kind of thing, that you can put in and it will be taken up quickly. So there are a number of calcium remedies. Unfortunately, some of them take such a long time that you can't affect that change immediately. So,
is it any kind of a wives' tale, old or young, or even middle-aged wives, to use Epsom salts? Well, I hear a lot of folks suggest that.
That is magnesium sulfate. So if you're applying that, you're going to add magnesium.
But their little muscles aren't going to hurt, right?
And 2, you're putting sulfur on there.
Okay.
And sulfur will lower the pH. So what it can do, if your pH is a little high, it can lower it enough to make the calcium that's there readily available.
Yes, that's the key.
And so it's a confusing thing for a lot of folks, and for many of us to know you have the levels of nutritions there. It just gets tied up and inaccessible because of pH being out of range. So
Do you sell pH meters here at the Garden Center?
pretty sure we do. Yeah,
we do.
Yeah,
I bet they're really terribly expensive too.
not anymore. I don't know how much are they, Cary. They're
I
about
believe they're $19.99.
yeah. So for
Buy
20
one
bucks,
for life.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that's very important about using one of those pH meters is, first of all, you want to water the soil thoroughly and then allow it to have time to drain through so that it's evenly moist, and then clean the probes that are on it and insert those into the soil down about 3/4 of the way
Demonstrate
down.
that cleaning process again.
You clean it. You take a towel. You don't want it to be contaminated by
Gunk.
a previous test. You want to
Okay.
clean that off thoroughly, insert that in there, and give it at least 45 seconds to stabilize and to read, and then you'll be able to get a good reading on where the pH with that. Many of those also have a light meter incorporated with
Right.
them as well. So if you don't know what your the available photons are
So you don't do it at night.
you can do it at night. You just have to use a flashlight, and then the reading is dependent on what the flashlight reads. So it won't affect the pH. It just affects how much light's
okay.
there. 615-499-6690. That's how you can reach out and get us. Either leave a voicemail or a text message that goes to Michael. Cary, you got anything else over there?
Yes, I do. Our next question from Romy678. I'm looking to replace the decking on my porch. With lumber prices being high, would you suggest waiting a few months to see if it goes down?
Sure. Yeah.
Of course, it could have the opposite
Could
effect.
go up.
Not probably not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now give a little. You have insider information on that because
No, I
that's
don't.
the industry
No,
you work.
no,
You do have some insight, however, that perhaps many of us lay people who don't work in the lumber industry have no knowledge of it all. So give us your best guess as to why you think that the prices would be trending downward.
Because
They already are, for one, right?
Yes. Now here's the deal. It's a commodity item, wood fiber. Okay, and a lot of the professionals in the industry don't say it's wood. It's wood fiber because you make paper out of it, you make toilet tissue out of it, you make all kinds of things out of
Organized strand board.
MDF.
oriented.
Oriented strand.
Yeah, oriented.
I thought it was. It looked.
That's chips. That's not really. But at the end of the day,
They do rearrange them though.
They arrange them and then they press them and then they glue them and it's so it is the market is falling, but in a lot
But
of
it's
cases,
falling from 90,000 feet though.
yes,
Where it's falling
it's going
from.
to take a minute for people to work through inventories that they have on hand.
So what you're saying is that the prices go up quickly and they come down slowly.
Possibly. Yeah, it's going to depend upon the rotation of the inventory in individual places. If you're going to be using your how do they come to market, David? I mean, when you set your price matrix, do you do it on last cost, average cost, future cost? There's a lot of folks just not out there. It ain't Bubba and the other guys. I mean, they got whole industries that do these kind of things.
So the fact that the housing market, and at least around here, is kind of bounced back to pre-pandemic levels and building is going back up.
Pre-pandemic.
Well, the point I'm getting at, Josh, is it's with all the building going on, would that affect how fast the prices fall or don't fall?
It could.
Because it's in demand.
All right. Now, decking boards are a completely unique kind of a category. What you're going to probably find now is that the difference between what pressure treated was or cedar or some of the spread between it and the composite deckings or the fake wood.
Stop there for just a moment.
Why do you want me to stop right now, Dave?
Because
Okay.
I want to talk about that, since it is deck boards we're talking about and the composite materials.
Deck boards.
Deck boards. That's what
Okay.
I'm talking about. The deck boards.
Okay.
What we're talking about. Those these composite materials, ones that are essentially made out of plastic.
Yeah.
How have the prices on those products? Have they just gone right up with the lumber? Or?
There's a certain commodity and another commodity in plastic. What is that, David Bates? Petroleum
oil,
distillates, yes, and petroleum stuff like that. Yeah.
So even though it's recycled, it's made from recycled.
It's the
product.
best use of a garbage grocery sack that there is on the planet, in my
Right.
opinion. But and that's different.
It's just extracting those single bags and getting them into the stream of recycling is the tough part.
Is it?
Well, apparently, because if you look at videos of dumps, there's like millions of them out there, and they seem to be all over.
Just go to the beach. You can get all you want.
I saw a video of the bottom of the Marianas Trench, which is like 7 miles deep in the ocean, and there was trash bags down there.
Really?
I mean, it's despicable.
Was it Kroger bags or was it
I couldn't pick up the brand
Publix?
on there. It could be anybody's.
Piggly Wiggly?
Probably not. I don't think they're, but it's possible.
Walmart
Anyway,
for sure.
So I have interrupted you enough. I'll let you finish your thought on the lumber prices. And
I would look at. You have to look at the overall project. And what was the questioner's name? Robbie.
It was Romy 567.
Romy, just if you have an immediate need, take care of it. If something's rotten and it's unsafe, go ahead and get it fixed. If you're just doing it for aesthetics and to keep things moving along, you might want to just wait and see. Okay, I got a feeling that it's going to come back. Now, will it always go back to what it was 3 years ago or 2 years
I'm
ago
gonna
or last
guess
year?
no.
Probably not. I mean, it doesn't usually happen that way. But take care of an immediate need and take care of any safety issues that you want.
well, for instance, we've got a project going on here. We're having to redo some roofs here on some old existing structures.
Roofs?
On existing structures.
Okay.
Roofs.
And we had to go ahead and you got to buy the lumber.
You got to go. You got to go.
You gotta commit at some point. So we committed, but we've got another renovation that's got to be done. So we deferred our commitment slightly on that one because there is that hope that perhaps the prices will be a little bit less.
When you're in a
going forward.
hyperactive market like we are, and I was talking to an industry
Hyperactive. That's Tyler's adjective. Is that hyperactive?
Sure, let's go with it.
Yeah.
when
Sounds right.
when houses are listed for, let's just use a round number of $1.5 million.
That's a nice round odd
I
number.
like that
but yes.
number. Yeah, that's a good number.
If you're selling, it's probably a good number. If you're buying, maybe not so much.
well, when you get into a bidding war and the house ends up selling for $1.75 million, the builders are going to continue to build. So I mean, it's
Yes.
going to take a minute for it to adjust, but we'll see what happens with the lumber market. But I have a feeling it is trending down. So
Okay. Well,
Okay.
there's a pretty thorough answer on lumber, and
that was an answer. I don't
and-
know how thorough it was.
well,
It was pretty in-depth.
it was pretty. All right. I think we got time for one more here, Cary. So why don't you
Here we
fire
go.
away there?
This one is from somebody that sounds very familiar. Josh, man of Smyrna. Could be somebody sitting across the room from me right now.
Could be.
I don't know.
That could be.
It says, OMG, what is that plant? And I believe you're referring to the photo on our Instagram stories where we
Yes.
put our question sticker up. That would be our trailing Vinca that is right here in front of me. And then there is another basket in front of Austin that has two colors. And we will talk about that a little bit later.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
Because
So
So you have something to look forward to.
you got popping some color
a
there.
little tease there. Well,
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to get really good success at growing those things like trailing Vinca and all manner of other plants, you probably begins with using a really good quality soil. And we're really big fans here of Earth Mix Garden products, where we like to say success begins at the ground level. And because it does, if you're growing plants, be it in a container or in the ground, you want to give your plants the very best opportunity to become established and not just merely hang on and exist, but we want them to thrive and really get maximum benefit out of it you can possibly get. That's what you get when you use Earth Mix Garden products. 100% organic, sustainably produced, and it's done so right here in Nashville, Tennessee. There are absolutely no chemical fertilizers or enhancements or anything like that done to it. The only thing that's added is endo and ecto mycorrhiza fungi and humic acid. Those are all very commonly occurring, but what we do is that those are added in to boost the compost, supernatural compost. And then supernatural compost is a standalone product in and of itself, and it's also an input of several other products downstream, including Earth Mix Garden, Proganics O, and Landscape. So no matter what products you're choosing, you're going to get the very best results out of all those things at Earth Mix Garden products. And by the way, if you're looking for them, they're really easy to find. Go to earthmix.net and click on the Find Earth Mix tab. And once you click there, you'll see a pin will come up, and there are all these locations all over Middle Tennessee, Kentucky, even up into Ohio and Indiana, and more locations coming in the near future. So remember this, success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix Garden products, and we appreciate you taking a moment and letting us talk to that. And I believe Tyler has got a little something for us right here.
Here's a little something.
Here's a little
Ooh,
something.
Michael, make sure the computer's unmuted.
Oh, it is.
Okay, good.
It's worth a grow with Austin.
Hey y'all, Austin here. Today's another special Worth a Grow. We're at my house again. This plant right here is Northwind Switchgrass. These right here, I planted 5 of them in a row all along this curve, and they kind of frame in my whole bed over here. I love this grass because it's really tidy. It's a very upright growing grass. It almost looks formal. It fills in and just finishes my whole bed over here really nice on this curve that I've got. It's about a 4 to 5 foot grower. It clumps out a little bit bigger every year. So what you're gonna see is you're gonna cut this thing back in the early spring and watch it regrow from the roots. All this growth you see came from the ground, not from old stems at all. So it's very, very vigorous growing early in the spring. One thing to note about this plant is that its fall color is stunning. It goes from like this yellow to orange. When the sunlight hits it, it just looks beautiful in the fall. Really, really good plant for that fall color. The other reason I like it is because it just sways and it kind of dances in the breeze back here behind all this other stuff. You see a lot of movement. As the late summer draws on and you start to get into fall, you start to see these wispy little seed heads that are gonna come up right up into here, and they're gonna dance in the breeze as well. So I love grasses. I think they should be used more. Good for a good, large area. It's good for erosion control. The roots are like crazy. They just root in really deeply. So if you have this like hillside into some water, along a creek maybe, they can be used, and just a really good plant for fall color and for tidiness and a little bit of movement in the bed. So Northwind Switchgrass is worth a grow.
All right,
Wow.
excellent.
Very good
Nice.
job.
Yeah, sways and moves. And you know
And
what?
dances.
The other thing that
Luau
you did-
grass.
Ooh,
I didn't do
I
that.
like it.
That's our webinar.
Yes. Well, and one of the things he did not mention there, although when he was standing there, it demonstrated the point well, is that it makes because it it stays tidy, but yet it's just tall enough where what was directly behind it was that a pool that you have behind it.
Yep, that's my kid's pool.
And it obscures the view of that completely, so that you're able.
You're saying his pool is ugly?
No, I'm just saying it obscures the view of
Oh,
it.
okay.
So
My kids have been in that pool every single night. And I got to, real quick while I'm here, I've got to mention, my wife is the one that decided to put those grasses in. She wanted grasses really bad, and she told me at some point I got to work them into the bed. So she's the one that came up with that, not me. But I'm
I think
glad
it
she
will-
Now,
did.
will it fill in? I mean, it looked
It'll be a
clumpy.
green mat. It is
Okay.
clumpy. There's no
Okay.
doubt. But I've seen some big ones, and I'm assuming I'm going to watch them. But I think that's going to be a green wall.
now, you've had those in the ground how long now?
Only 1 year. I mean, last year was their first season. I planted them as a 1 gallon. They were barely poking up out of the pot.
Yeah,
Wow.
so
That's
by
a
this
second
time,
season.
by this time next year, it will be a solid green mass across there.
Yeah, and I'm hoping it'll stay that way. Eventually, I might have to kind of dig around the edges of that because they might be a little too tight eventually. But hey, I like things tight, nice and full.
I think it'll really do what your dear bride is hoping to achieve. It already is doing that.
Yeah,
and
it was a great idea.
so anyway, it's a wonderful example of what of knowing the growth characteristics of a plant and understanding how it can be used in the landscape to achieve a desired result. There are other grasses you could put there that would get way too wide,
That stuff with
way
the
too
attitude.
tall, and
That grass with the attitude?
you're talking about the
Pampas grass?
it's actually pampas.
Oh, that's good.
Pampas grass, but yes,
Don't like
you could refer to it as pampas if you wanted to call it.
Speaking of Pampas, I heard from the yard boy this week.
He's never been accused of being pompous.
Well, yeah, we're gonna change the yard boy's name to the Yard Father, by the way, because I mean,
he is maturing.
well, I've
Slowly.
heard that down there in the southern regions of Middle Tennessee that perhaps there are some lawn care rustlers going around. It seems that one of his clients, he pulled up to do his weekly service on the yard. Somebody had snuck in the nighttime and cut that grass ahead of him. Now, I think in Texas, you can shoot a rustler, can't you?
But if it's only a problem if they
It's
have
big
paid.
grass moving in on the little guy.
So
is what I'm
do
hearing.
they go in there and cut it and say, "Yeah, I need to"? Go
They
ahead
didn't
and-"
cut it nicely either. They just came in there and kind of like trashed it up from the way it was described.
So is that to discredit the quality of work that someone else?
Who
did?
knows what? Yeah, I think it's big grass moving in on him.
Do you think
So-
perhaps?
Grass.
Well, there's nothing worse when big grass moves in and takes over. The corporate grass.
Picking on the little guy.
the corporate grass.
The fescue
people.
barons,
Yeah, that's them.
No, they'd have to be Bermuda barons.
centipede barons.
Well, okay. Centipede grass here,
Yeah.
Middle Tennessee.
Well, you're talking
6-1
about Texas.
Yeah.
Oh
615-499.
no, I said in Texas you can shoot a rustler.
6690.
Why?
If
What you
you're-
got against wrestling?
Rustlers,
Well,
not
I saw
wrestlers.
on your whatever that is down there on the video, the captions. It said wrestler.
Well, I mean, the captions are auto-generated, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, here on the At Home program, just for you.
I do like watching what is the interpretation of what is said on that from time to time. It's quite entertaining. We talk about things that never come up on the show. If you read that, I may go, okay, that we did not say that. Go back and listen.
Speaking of the show, the intro was done about Loki, and Loki is a show that's on Disney Plus. I think it's brilliant myself.
What is the premise of Loki? So for those of us who are unaware,
Did you see Avengers Endgame, the last Avengers film?
know of it?
So there's a scene where Loki.
So the answer was no. He hasn't watched the Marvel.
So they have to go back in time to try to fix a problem.
No, that,
And Loki gets, the timeline diverges and he escapes as opposed to being captured.
Okay.
And this is a variant.
This is not going to spoil it for me because I haven't watched it. I probably am not going to. I don't know if you've noticed. There's a plethora of content available out there. There's all manner of anything you want to watch programming on. It's out there for you. I mean, I think that YouTube is well north of a terabyte of content per minute being uploaded
wow.
to YouTube. I mean, that's a pretty good bit. That's more than you can watch in a lifetime.
Ever.
We're
Yes.
part of that problem.
No, we're not.
we
It's
are.
not a problem.
I mean,
That's not.
it's just, that is to say that if you've taken the time to watch this, and obviously you have.
Thank you.
We really appreciate that. And we also appreciate it if you take a moment and like what we've done here and maybe share it with your friends. We like to get the word out about what we're talking about here. Speaking of getting the word out, let's go to Cary and get a little plant rant with Cary.
Sometimes she just needs to vent a little. It's Plant Rants with Cary Gant.
And good morning again. How is everybody?
Well, we're still pretty much like we were a couple of minutes ago.
You're still here, and so am I. So I'm really excited about these baskets that I have in front of me and these mixed containers. They came in a couple days ago. Melissa, who manages our annuals down in the greenhouse, was
And
very...
she does these splendid job, by the way.
She does. She's amazing. She does a great job.
She does some really killer cut flower arrangements as well. And
She
if you haven't
does.
checked those out on the Bates Nursery YouTube channel, you need to see those.
Flower Power Friday. Is that what we're calling it?
Yep, that's
Yep.
it.
It's on our Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, she does an arrangement every week, so check that out. But you should have seen her face when all these plants were coming off the truck. I think it was a little more than she anticipated coming in.
She indicated as much to me.
Yeah, but it looks amazing back there. So I just brought a very small sampling of what we do have in the back. The trailing Vinca, which, Josh was very excited to hear about. These are
It doesn't
all...
take a lot for Josh, but yeah.
No, it
No, it
doesn't.
doesn't.
Clearly. All of these are going to thrive in the heat that we have right now in the summer, and they can all do full sun. So all of these need to be at least like 6 hours of sun a day. So trailing Vinca right in front of me, right in front of Austin, which we talked about a little earlier. And then we have some mixed hanging baskets and mixed planters. So I'm kind of framing myself on either side here.
Now, the one thing about it is the camera cannot really pick up the true color of the trailing Vinca. It is it's getting most of it, but you have to see these in person.
The lights
There
wash
it
it out just a bit.
And
So I
even
think
in that shot, it's it's much darker and much more vibrant.
it
Yeah,
has
it's more of a salmon color than in the video. It's prettier than in real life. So you'll have to come out to the nursery to look at
A
it.
deep coral, at least.
Yeah. Lovely, lovely color.
Not halibut.
That's right. That's right, Josh.
More of a tilapia.
Ooh, no.
No.
We don't want to see that color.
No.
It's not a good one. So on my left, we've got an Angelonia and Lantana mixed hanging basket, which
Wow.
this can, you could let this bad boy dry out. So if you're bad at watering, it's clearly going to need water, especially in the heat of the summer. You'll have to water at least every other day. But if you're like me and you forget to water or just, you're too tired, this would be a good hanging basket to go with. And then this mixed planter, if you don't want to hang something, you want to set it on like a step on your back porch, as Austin is turning it around. Keep turning it, Austin.
All right.
There it goes.
Yeah, and I love the pink Angelonia that's in the center of
Yes.
that. That's a wonderful color combination there.
Uh-huh.
And as you've already mentioned, you've got plants there that are all very adept at handling
Drought.
occasional dryness. Matter of fact, they would prefer to stay more on the. If you're going to air, let them get a little on the dry side rather than.
What's the
keeping them-
yellow in that one?
The yellow is Lantana.
Lantana?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Can you see
Lantana,
it?
of course, are
Here,
very
let's tilt
adept.
it.
Yeah, probably no plant in the annual selections that is available that is more adept at extreme heat and dryness. So if you have an area next to a parking lot or pavement where it's really hot, Lantana loves that kind of situation.
And it smells great. Some people don't like how it smells.
I don't like it.
personally, what? I love it. I think it
It's
smells
not for
great.
me. It smells
Really?
fun. No, it doesn't
Okay.
smell good to me.
All right. And then,
Moving right along.
fine, let's cut you off and I'll keep talking. Just kidding. So, and then the third plant that we have in here, which I've just started learning about, fan flower.
Scabola. That's
Got
a good
nice
one. That's
little
another heat
trailing
lover.
effect.
And it trails, yeah.
Yeah, and
Just the mention of the word scabola chokes Josh up.
You don't pick your
yeah.
scabola, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just say the word and he immediately triggers a cough response.
excited about something else. Look
know.
at you go, Josh. Look at you go. And we are having, I believe, 15% off all living things right now. So
wow.
if you're looking at these
That
planters,
excludes employees now. There's no.
yes, we're not selling our employees.
touch
But it doesn't exclude
Don't
Josh.
touch us.
Well, Josh doesn't work here, so
He's a
living thing.
If you want to make him an offer on himself, have at it.
Yeah, get on
It's
the
gonna be
Facebook page
expensive.
and request that. So
He's
you
a
can get more than
he's a
one
high
with
maintenance
discount.
kind of guy.
I think a bag of crystals and a beer do it.
Oh,
But
We'll talk about that in just a moment.
what kind of beer though?
What kind of beer?
Uh-huh.
What you got?
See,
I don't have anything right now.
that's why I said a generic kind.
Just a
Just
cheap
beer.
domestic beer.
I can go a little IPA here or there.
All
if
right,
really
you can
want.
go a little bit fancier.
I can go. Not much for the stuff that looks like a parking lot, but I'm more of a lager and a pilsner kind of person myself.
All
but-
right.
Okay.
So now everyone knows that.
Okay. And not everyone knows that that's a ficus.
I'll take
That's
in
right.
your right hand there.
So I do have 2 ficus up here, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. But as far as plants that can tolerate dryness and a lot of sun for houseplants, these are 2 that can, especially this one. I'm going to pull it forward. This Altisima, which again, we did talk about not too long ago. The variegation on the leaves, it's going to be more variegated the more light it gets. I have one of these. It gets probably about 8 hours of direct sun a day. It's growing fast. The leaves are getting huge, and she's really, really happy. Same with my rubber tree, the other ficus I have out here. It's probably getting about 6 hours of full sun. So these plants can take full sunlight. Fiddle leaf, which is in the ficus family as well, a little bit finicky. So if you're thinking about shoving that one out in full sun, that one needs to be kind of acclimated for that.
Yeah, well, one of the downsides, obviously, they are trees when they're found in nature, so they grow in full sun. However, when
Can an ant move it?
not alone,
The rubber tree?
not a single ant. No, it takes a lot of ants to do that.
So you're saying an ant can't move a rubber tree plant, David?
No,
Is that a song lyric or something?
I'm not
What's
saying
happening?
that. I'm not saying that. But you're going off on one of your tangents, Josh, and so we're going to let you go there alone.
Go there in your head.
Yeah, and
This is my rant,
What I'm
not
going
yours.
what I'm going to finish up with here is saying that the ficus, of course, they will take full sun, but once they have been acclimatized to lower light, which clearly those have been, you can tell so because the foliage becomes a little softer, a little enlarged. If you have a plant like that and you go straight to full sun with it, sun scald is not unusual. So beware. It's really good to have if you're going to go out onto a patio area or some other spot that's going to be in the sun. You need to transition that out where it's not going directly into the full hot afternoon sun, perhaps the morning sun or filtered light under trees or other structure to break that up. And then once you have it adjusted, the other side to it is when you come back in with it at the end of the season, it's going to be all jacked up with all this high light situation, and then it's going to struggle in the house. So I really am a huge fan. If you find a spot in your home that a plant does well, why don't you just leave it there and put some planters out that you want to get set up and growing for the season that's outdoor season.
And speaking of that, Caroline has a webinar coming up about
Yeah.
Take it away, Cary.
I do have a webinar coming up, choosing the right houseplant for your space. So we'll talk about
Boom.
lighting, what kind of houseplant person you are, what you're looking for.
Now, for Josh's purposes, this will be a 20-part series.
Yeah.
There's a lot of choices, a lot to think about,
there
Josh.
are a lot of choices.
So many names.
So many things.
I can
So
read
many
it over.
spaces.
But we will talk about the right one to choose. David did have a good point with acclimating your houseplants to outside and inside. And we do have webinars both on summarizing and winterizing your houseplants. If you are someone who does like to move them out, I move mine out because I have so many. My house is a jungle in the winter, and I know that, I need to clean it out. So I slowly acclimate my plants to full sun. I put them on my porch, which is covered, put them under a tree, and then in the sunlight. So you don't want to shock them. And then you have to winterize them by bringing them in.
Nothing worse than shock and awe
On
with
a-
regard to your plants. Now, one of the things that we have not mentioned is that when the end of the season, which always comes around, and we're a long way from that right now, but at some point you'll be bringing things inside. Likely, what you also bring with those plants are pests.
Buggies.
So you should be mindful of that right now. And it's a lot easier to preventatively spray and control. Use some things like some insecticidal soap or things like that are very organic in nature to minimize whatever intrusion of pests you might have. Otherwise, you may find yourself infecting the entire selection of plants in your home with mealybugs or scale or something like that, and you can prevent that if you'll keep them in good shape outside.
And check the backsides of leaves.
That's
Yes.
where they hide.
That's where they are.
Look
Yeah,
there. They don't
yeah.
make it easy. They don't just sit right on top. You got to flip those leaves over and look. Look in little crotch angles, little spots where you don't look to or think to look all that much. That's where the bugs are going to
They're
be.
down there where the leaf joins the stem,
yep.
and you see a lot of mealybugs and scale get down in those spots. So if you're not investigating closely, a quick overview may not get it done.
And a small problem can be a large problem quickly.
Yes, it can.
Yes, it can. So be mindful of all that, but you got a little ways before you have to worry about bringing those inside. But if you're mindful of it right now, it makes that transition a whole lot easier come October, early November.
You are right.
All right. What else, Cary? Is that about it? You got something else you want to share?
I got a couple more things.
All right,
I do love houseplants. I do love cacti and succulents. To my left, I've got a Euphorbia, crown of thorns. We talked about Euphorbia last week, similar to a cactus.
Lovely specimen indeed. That is, look at that thing. It's beautiful.
Look at that color.
You would not,
similar to that
you would not
Vinca.
know it had thorns hiding in there.
You would not until you tried to grab the plant, and then you really hurt yourself. I have one that's probably, I'm a 1.5 feet tall now. They like full sun. They can be dry for days, so you don't want to overwater this bad boy.
Matter of fact, they should be dry for days.
They should, yeah,
Once
absolutely.
it gets dry, give it a few extra days to really. You almost want to see, or maybe you should really see the soil pulling from the sides of the container on succulent type plants, cacti succulents, to give you the proper indication of the level of dryness that you need, because they are the best at storing that moisture inside the stems and leaves. Therefore, they need that opportunity to dry out, because rot is a real problem if they stay too wet.
It is. We have a lot of people that come in asking advice on succulents, or they're like, I'm just not good at it. And most of the time it's just overwatering. Like, I probably water mine right now once a month.
And when we say the term, and here's another clarification, when we use the term overwatering, that does not mean how much water you're putting on it when you water. That means your frequency is too much. You're watering it at too close of intervals. You're not allowing enough time in between your watering intervals. So here, you really have to get an understanding of what your plants are and how varying their needs are. Water needs for plants is, and knowing that some will require, depending on what kind of soil or container they're in, they could need to be watered twice a day, and others might only need it once every 2 weeks. You just don't know, depending on what the weather's doing. So
Right, and all plants have different personalities, so you really have to get to know your house plant.
They've all got personalities. Why don't they get a name?
Well, you could name all your plants, and they all do have names.
Josh already has.
Josh does name his plants.
What?
Yeah.
How is that news to me? We'll have to go over those plants soon. I want to hear them.
Well, we had this discussion before we went on the air about the difference between someone who names their plants and someone who doesn't. And this is not a point of denigration by any sense, Josh. It is. It's a term of endearment. For those.
We'll go with that, David.
Okay.
Bates.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you tell us about Mr. Wu and
Mr. Wu is my Tamukiyama Japanese maple. Okay. I have Morimoto, who is my other Japanese maple. I have Cheech and Chong, my 2 redbud trees.
Are they up in smoke? Those should be. Those should be Catinus names. Don't you?
My Mugo pine, Hugo.
Hugo.
Okay. A Lobiscus. Picard. John Luke, my stargazer that I bought this spring. Okay.
I've got a friend of mine who had used to have a pot-bellied pig as a pet, and his name was Francis Bacon. So Doug, there you go, buddy.
All righty, but yes, there are certain names. I just as it goes, so
you just
my witch hazel, the variety Diane. Is Diane witch hazel. Yeah.
Diane is the cultivar, but that one is already named Diane. You didn't give it that name; it already was that name. That's a cultivar name.
Well, I call it Diana.
Right, in honor of your dear bride,
who cuts it at the wrong time of the year every year.
Well, you don't. Blooms are an accessory that are maybe not always
go out in February when it's absolutely glorious. So
okay.
I mean, it's cold outside.
Fair enough.
Go out there, huh?
Fair enough.
All righty, folks. Let's 615-499-6690 if you have a call or a comment. Or
I know Cary's got a couple more, but Tyler, you got something else you're going to run for us there, don't you?
Yes, you do.
Sure.
Sure. Caught him off guard.
Yeah, sure.
He was about to go into a nap.
Let's face it, your landscaping, it needs a pick-me-up, an intervention, something that takes the ordinary and makes it extraordinary. Thankfully, there's a place where that can happen, and as David likes to say, it's worth the drive from anywhere. Bates Nursery and Garden Center is a third-generation family business about a mile north of Briley Parkway on White Street Pike, just minutes from downtown Nashville. Whether it's trees, shrubs, perennials, or that one unique plant to tie your whole ensemble together, David and his knowledgeable staff can point you in the right direction. And right now is the perfect time to brave the heat and humidity of this Tennessee July because all plants are 15% off. That's right, 15% off. Just make sure you buy it at the nursery to get your savings. Oh, bottled water isn't included in that either because it's free. Sale ends July 22nd. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932.
15% off, David Bates?
15%, and thank you, Michael and Tyler for your work on that. It saved me. You
A
guys,
whole minute and 3 seconds.
You guys spent a couple of hours on saving me of your lives to save me a minute, and I'm so that's what you call that's probably not a fair exchange, but I do appreciate your efforts on that. It turned out good.
That was great.
15.
15. That's a 1-5. 15 in Espanol. No 50.
No 50.
Not 50. No.
15.
15.
So if it's living, 15%.
That's right. All and I say, I'm afraid to say plants because people will think, well, what about trees? Well, see, trees are plants also. And what about ground covers? We see those are plants as well. So
the Japanese maple's 15% off?
Japanese maple is a plant. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It is.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I just thought it was like some kind of inorganic thing that you bought.
While everything else seems to be going
The big honking trees out there in the back?
yes,
15% off.
15% off. Yes.
Okay.
Or if you want to go check out tropicals, that kind of fiddly figs, we've got
we have
great.
a ton.
What about palm tree behind Cary?
15%. See that right there? 15.
What about some water?
Water is not 15% off. It's free.
It's 100% off.
It's 100% off, but you have to come in to participate in that. And it's for consumption on site. We're not like giving you cases to take away. It's just for drinking while you're here because, a dehydrated gardener can't make good decisions. So you need to be hydrated, particularly during the summertime. So yes, come out and drink all the free bottled water you want while you're here.
That's like a sixth off. More than a sixth. It's not quite a seventh, but that's a heck of a discount.
Somewhere between a sixth and a seventh. That's what we like to say around here at Bates Nursery, just to make sure it's completely clear.
That hibiscus 15% off.
Yes.
Oh wow. The daylilies.
Yes, but you get the whole plant. We don't take 15% physically off the plant.
Oh,
it's just
comes with the flowers.
Just the price is discounted that much, Josh. So,
okay.
and we're having, as Cary mentioned,
and there's some of the switchgrass
a little earlier. Even the things that we're just bringing in are also discounted, and we don't mark stuff up to mark it down. It's the same price it's been all along. So come in and save, and like as Michael said on the spot, that's good through the end of business on Thursday. So come out and see us, Bates Nursery and Garden Center. We appreciate the opportunity to serve your horticultural needs, and because we're here to help you figure out what to do and how to get the right plant in the right place the first time.
Sure, it is.
So when you bring photographs in on your smartphone or on your tablet, that really helps us to be able to look at your unique landscape situation and help you to make the choices that are going to assure you get the right plant in the right place the first time. we don't really recommend drive-by shopping. I mean, it's okay to do that, but you really are going to spend your money a lot smarter if you know where that plant is going before you leave Bates Nursery with it. It really helps you to really make your gardening dollars work their very best.
And make a good decision, too, because, I mean, if you're going to try to put a great big tree right on the corner of your house, but you're only buying the little baby tree,
Yep.
you're not going to, if you tell somebody here, I want to put this right there.
Well,
That's your house.
Or
You
a
can
lot
do
of times
what
in
you want
Austin, I'd love to hear you speak to this. Maybe you've gotten the right plant, but you don't believe that it's going to attain the size that it will. You see people put things like
It's
arborvitaes
perfect
on the corner
right
of a
now.
house, which might be fine to use an emerald arborvitae on the corner, but you don't plant it 2 feet from the house where that it might appear to be to scale if it's a 2 or a 5 gallon size right now, but that thing's going to get 14 feet tall.
It's going to push the gutters off.
You're going to need to get that thing out there and believe that it's going to actually do what it will do, because time will make a believer out of it.
They do. I'm amazed actually at how often it happens where people ask me if this 1 gallon plant versus a 5 gallon plant that's the exact same cultivar. It's just literally 2 or 3 seasons older is the only difference. It's hard for people to grasp that. They think a small plant now stays small forever. It does not happen that way, y'all.
They grow.
They grow. They do. The classic example of that, I got a couple regulars that come out and see me a lot, and they're really nice people. They live in East Nashville, and they've got a nice landscape going, but they wanted to grow a purple smoke tree. They had to have it. Well, they decided, and I tried to talk them out of this, and I told them whenever they bought it, do not put this right on your home. They had a spot right next to their house. They wanted to put it. I said, guys, trust me, you're not going to want to do this. Well, they said, well, we're going to give it a go anyway. It was only a little 1 gallon plant whenever they planted it.
What's it? It's so small.
It's so small, I can't do anything.
No.
Not in my lifetime.
2 seasons later, they came back. The very first thing they said to me is, well, you told us so. We have to dig it up. It was like starting to get like 12 feet tall and just really getting too big for that spot. So they had to dig it up. They retransplanted it, and all was good. But the small plants do grow, especially that one.
Well, and if you were going to use something like a cotinus or a smoke bush in around a planting area, we've got one that my wife Renee just adores. My wife of 36 years, by the way.
How many days now?
It's 13,157 today.
Yeah, okay.
But she has a little area out front that she really is her little pride and joy little flower garden and color garden, and she has a cotinus, a smoke tree in there. But she has learned, and she is a believer now, that you cut that thing back severely. I mean, nearly to the ground. And of course, it still gets
huge. Yeah, you just make it mad.
So and so we'll be able to extend it several years by doing that. But but eventually it's going to get too big, and this thing's taking over.
Yeah. That's what they do.
Yep.
Did we have any more questions on Instagram, Cary?
Yes, we do. We have just a handful more.
Hey, and by the way, do we have a low-end report that you're bringing to us today, Austin? I just want to make sure that we didn't really discuss it. And
yeah,
he's just reporting the whole show.
I'm just with you today.
Okay. All right. Well, Cary,
whatever
go ahead.
comes up.
Go ahead.
Well, this question actually is geared towards Austin. I saw the It's Worth a Grow on Northwind switchgrass. Any tips on planting it to ensure it survives?
Gosh, there's not much you have to do.
Dig a
hole, put it in. I mean,
sunshine.
Sunshine is nice. Water, especially if you're doing it this time of year. They're thirsty plants. They're rain garden approved. I mean, they can live in a wet home. So don't let them be dry on you. Other than that, not much to do with those. They latch in really quickly. Like I was mentioning on the video, their roots are amazing. I tugged on those this early spring and gave them, I couldn't even budge those things. I mean, their roots are really, really.
And you planted those last year?
Early spring. I bought them here. Like I said, little bitty 1 gallons. They weren't poking up out of their pot, but like 3 inches. And the amount of growth has been staggering. So, no, there's not a lot of added attention grasses really need. They're really easy to do. Just put them in.
Okay.
Good answer.
Simple as that.
Yeah. All right. And our last question, any suggestions for a houseplant in a room that has a northern-facing window?
Well, I'm going to guess, Cary, you can probably answer that question
I think
best.
I probably can. I have a lot of plants upstairs in my house. It's a northern-facing window, same. And there's a lot of plants that do just fine, people think, because it's not getting direct sunlight. that plants won't thrive. Not true at all. I actually use that window for most of my propagation. It does best there. But as far as that northern facing window, you could definitely do peace lily, dracaena. You could probably even, if you have a fiddle leaf, if you're really into that, I know people love them in the window itself. That would probably do just fine.
Maybe a Neanthobella palm, something.
Neanthobella palm,
Yeah.
lady palm would do just fine,
Right.
and pretty much any kind of fern you could ever think of would do great in that room.
Any mother-in-law tongue.
Sansevieria will grow
Sansevieria.
anywhere.
Anywhere,
Anywhere.
literally.
Full sun, almost.
Is that why they
full
call it the
shade.
mother-in-law plant? Because it'll go anywhere and get in your way? Sorry.
Well, we call it
That's not my
Sansevieria because
mother-in-law.
that's the actual name of it, and mother-in-law is just one of those.
Is there a brother-in-law plant?
Well, you could
That's
call
usually the dead one out there in the back.
that's the one that won't leave.
Weeds. Yeah.
One you
Weeds.
can't give away. I think is what the brother-in-law plant is. I'm not sure.
Oh my goodness! All righty, folks, we're coming down towards the close of this edition of the At Home program. But could we go to input 2 quickly because
you're actually framing that question to me, Josh. So I'm
okay.
gonna go-
Mine
so
was
there you are.
you got the remote
There you are.
now. Input 2 quickly.
Oh, mute the
okay.
TV.
That's the TV, dude.
I know, but that is
Now. That's you.
that's actually you playing through it.
No, I know it was me paying through it, but you didn't have it muted.
Nobody said anything about it being muted.
Muted?
I thought you had your pad muted.
No,
My
no.
No,
It's
that's-
coming off the Mac. So,
Okay.
but
What in the upchuck is that?
that is
It's nasty, whatever it is.
now, folks. Think about this as a Sunday supper.
Macaroni and cheese ice cream.
Oh, Kraft macaroni and cheese. ice
Doesn't
cream.
matter. Just imagine like making yourself a big thing of Kraft
I bet
macaroni
little
and
man
cheese.
would go through the whole thing.
I bet he would not.
He doesn't like macaroni and cheese.
No.
That's a strange kid,
What?
man.
That's crazy.
He
Never
likes
met a
mac
kid.
and cheese very rarely. He would rather eat squash and zucchini because we mainly
Good
just
for
give him
him.
veggies.
Okay, but David, we need a side dish to go along with the 30 White Castles and the 30 Natties. What would you suggest to go with those two gut bombs at the same time?
Pepto Bismol.
No. I mean, you would throw some hot peppers in there, or
Well, I mean,
pinto beans?
You could add some interest to it by some ghost peppers. I think that would be a nice.
Might as well get some fried pickles for that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go with this as your food group choices,
I mean, that's a final meal right
well,
there.
you
You're
have
probably gonna
you
die
have
after
you have
you're
your
done.
you have your Anheuser-Busch product, such as it is. I mean, that's
Yeah.
okay. Then you have your meat and your bread group, and I guess you could add cheese, but it would probably go to $32 if you were to add cheese to all the White Castles. White Castle is just another. It's a different form of crystal.
and speaking of that, the one right at the corner of White Bridge Road and Charlotte Pike closed down a couple of weeks ago.
Oh no!
Do you want to know a little bit of trivia?
About what?
Kentucky and Tennessee are the only two states that has both White Castle and Crystal.
Is that true?
Gosh,
White Castle is north, Crystal is south.
Yeah, but they're not the same company.
No, they're not.
White Castle was long before Crystal.
But you have to admit their approach is remarkably similar.
It's delicious for like 2 a.m. on a Thursday night.
If you've been drinking heavily.
Go to the shift change at the Crystal store in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
There's
1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning,
There's
man.
nothing more repulsive, particularly if you've the morning after, and you've left that bag that has like a half of one or maybe a couple.
Slide it
Now,
under the front seat of your guy's car.
It's in the car with the windows rolled up, sitting out in the sun, and you open that door and those onions hit
Now-
you in the. Oh my word!
I'm just going to go ahead and I'm joking a little bit. I do like White Castle. My grandmother worked at one for years
Did
when
she
she
really?
was younger up in Indianapolis. So I ate a lot of those. They were pretty good.
They were popular in Miami, Florida, too, as well.
I developed an intolerance to both of them. I think I overdosed or something at some point, and
You had a crave case on your own.
and consequently, I was never able. They never tasted the same again. So there we go.
All righty.
The saga of the small square hamburgers.
Steamed, not fried.
They're somewhat steamed.
goodness. I'm hungry now. All right, folks, for everybody here at the At Home Show, we appreciate you being here. Please go out to the YouTube page, like it, share this program everywhere you're going. To all of your Facebook friends, invite
Walk up
them
to strangers and tell them about it.
tell them about it. I mean, everything's going to be due. Be sure to get out here today to take care of the 15% off all plants. That's
All
every
plants.
plant on the lot is 15% off
Yep.
today out here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. Again, for everybody here at the At Home Show, we